purport. Within the spiritual sky is a second manifestation of the quadruple forms of Dvaraka, from the abode of Krishna. Among these forms, which are all spiritual and immune from the material modes, Sri Baladev is represented as Maha Sankarshan. The actions in the spiritual sky are manifested by the internal potency in pure spiritual existence. They expand in 6 transcendental opulences, which are all manifestations of Maha Sankarshan, who is the ultimate reservoir and objective of all living entities. Although belonging to the marginal potency known as Jiva Shakti, the spiritual sparks, known as the living entities, are subjected to the conditions of the material energy. It is because these sparks are related with both internal and external potencies of the Lord that they are known as belonging to the marginal potency. In considering the quadruple forms of the absolute personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, the impersonalists, headed by Sripad Sankaracharya, have interpreted the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra in a way suitable for their impersonalist school. To provide intrinsic import of such aphorisms, however, Rupa Goswami, the leader of the 6 Goswamis in Vrindavan, has properly replied to the impersonalists in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, which is a natural commentary on the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutras. The Padma Purana, as quoted by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhagavatamrita, describes that in the spiritual sky there are 4 directions corresponding to east, west, north and south, which Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Aniruddha and Pradyumna are situated. The same forms are also situated in the spiritual sky. The Padma Purana, material sky, thank you. The same forms are situated in the material sky. The Padma Purana also describes a place in the spiritual sky known as Vedavati Pura, where Vasudeva resides. In the Vishnu Loka, which is above Satya Loka, Sankarshan resides. Maha Sankarshan is the other name of Sankarshan. Pradyumna lives in Dwarkapura, and Aniruddha lies on the eternal bed of Sesha, generally known as Ananta Shaya, in the island called Svetadip, in the ocean of milk. Om Madhyana Timrandhasya Jananjana Salakeya Chakshu Onmilatam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. This was really a mystery to me when I first read this, because actually I've not investigated this sort of Vishnu Tattva before. And so, in some way, I'm going to try and quote from Prabhupada in one of his his lectures actually. This is from the Adi Lila, and it's chapter 1, and it's from text 11, a lecture on it. But also, I'll refer to the ecstatic prayers of Lord Shiva, where in Canto 4, Lord Shiva offers prayers to the Supreme Lord, and he also delineates these expansions and what they represent. So I think maybe I should do this first. We'll go to Canto 4 with the explanation of these different expansions. So, excuse me for just reading this, but it's the only way I feel I can do a sort of qualified statement with regards to this verse here. And it starts, this is the English translations from Canto 4, chapter 24, text 34, text 35 onwards. My dear Lord, you are the origin of all the subtle material ingredients, the master of all the integration as well as the master of all disintegration, the predominating deity named Sankarshan, and the master of all intelligence is known as the predominating deity Prayojana. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So, it seems that these deities, these that have representation, and their expansions of Lord Nityananda, they have a specific purpose, and they're worshipable, each in their own right. So, this Sankarshan, he's the origin of all the material ingredients, both subtle and material. The predominating deity, he is Sankarshan, and he's also the deity of the disintegration. Then it says that, and the master of all intelligence is known as the predominating deity Prayojana. Therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. My Lord, as the supreme directing deity known as Aniruddha, you are the master of the senses and the mind. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you again. You are known as Ananta as well as Sankarshan, because of your ability to destroy the whole creation by a blazing fire from your mouth. So, here we have Aniruddha, who is the master of the senses and the mind. And then also, you are known as Ananta, as well as Sankarshan. Your ability to destroy the whole of creation by your blazing fire from your mouth. My Lord, O Aniruddha, you are the authority by which the doors of the higher planetary systems and liberation are opened. You are always within the pure heart of the living entity. Therefore I offer my obeisances unto you. You are the possessor of semen, which is like gold, and thus, in the form of fire, you help the Vedic sacrifices, beginning with the Chaturhotra. Therefore I offer my obeisances unto you. So then it continues, my Lord, you are the provider of the Pitralokas as well as the demigods. You are the predominating deity of the moon, of the three Vedas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because you are the original source of the satisfaction for all living entities. So, it seems that this body and its subtle body and the material creation are each have their representative deities. And why should we know this? It's a sort of mystery to me, but there is an ingredient within, it seems, in this human species that says, why? Where do I come from? This ever increase or curiosity that's within us to know more and more about the origin of things, whether it be material elements, scientists examining this material creation, and they're trying to find out why certain things happen. So they come up with a Big Bang, this amazing Big Bang. Shri Shri Radha Gokul Nanda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai. So, to satisfy this part of our nature, there are these inconceivable manifestations of the Lord. I say inconceivable, maybe not to the pure soul, but for people like myself, they are inconceivable. But in these prayers by Lord Shiva, when the Lord is glorified and described, they're like ecstatic prayers. Because somehow within Lord Shiva, he's realized what's happening. And he's, just like for ourselves, when we get some personal revelation, there's a sort of an ecstasy. We sort of are given an indication by the mercy of the Lord, either through the super soul or from his representative, the spiritual master, that this is what is really happening. It takes away our illusion. So, and the wonderful thing is about Lord Shiva and his prayers, he's probably having realizations while he's saying these prayers, even while he's saying them. Just to say prayer or offering glorification is one of an amazing process, because it somehow from within there's something comes again that you've not considered before. So I may be speaking to you now, but there's certain things that may happen inside me or not that I've never considered before, or it's never come into my mind. So this is the wonderful aspect of this curiosity, this investigation that's within the human species. It's like I can remember just in say what may be considered a mundane situation. Within the family that I was in, we adopted a child. And this child, she herself, had some curiosity about her origins. Somehow, no matter how satisfied she would be with whatever's being provided with her situation, within the current family of the adoption, that somehow there's this something I want to know. Why? What's happened? This will always happen. And so this is a very nice thing. It happened very naturally with her. It came from her so-called natural father. He wanted to see her. And the social services then made the inquiry to us. And we said, yeah, of course. But we gave her a warning. We said, please be careful. Don't have some preconception about what it's all about. Or what he's like. You may be in for a bit of a surprise. You know? So, it happened actually. But actually, certainly from my point of view, it was a blessing for her. Because I spoke maybe previous in the class of unfinished business. You know, if we stay in this world with so much unfinished business, it stays with us at death. We should clear up our unfinished business. There's always a way. Though it may not be on the highest platform of spiritual realization, somehow this mess within us has to be cleared up. So it's nice. This is the process of what we should do. It's there. And so from her point of view, she got to know him actually in the last days of his life. Because he didn't know, and she didn't know, that he was going to leave this world very soon after he contracted cancer. And she brought him here. She introduced me to him. I met him. He'd been a police officer. And he came and saw the deities. And he had Prayojana. So, there's nothing by chance. But it wasn't precipitated by her. Though she wanted to know, it was by the grace of the Lord. Through the so-called natural father. Then we go to the other end of the what happened before she came to us. There was a mother. And so she wanted to know who her mother was. So-called natural mother. It's very interesting. When this happened, she met her mother. But she saw something that caused her great fear and anxiety. My understanding of this is that we should accept those things that come by the grace of the Lord. We can make our own investigations. It's true, it can be there. But it may not be worth the investigation. We should be very careful. Sometimes it's best to leave be. You know, so she met her mother, and there were things, aspects that somehow caused her great grief and anxiety. And so, somehow or other, she wanted to shut that door. She saw things there that unnerved her. And so, in a way, she was protected before. But because somehow, if we try and investigate that which is beyond our knowledge, sometimes we go down an avenue we shouldn't go down. There's so many things in this spiritual life we can investigate, certainly within so many different spiritual paths. We have to be very, very careful. Because they're dangerous, actually, some of them. And you hear about these mass suicides. They follow some so-called acharya who's realized God or Jesus. And then they get sucked in. Very dangerous situation. this spirituality, this spiritual path. But we're very fortunate. We have this, what we call Shastra. We have those scriptures that are verified by the Lord Himself in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Sarvasya chaham hirdi sanavisto mataha smritir upahanam cha vedis chasavam aham eva vedio vidanta krit veda vit eva chaham. He says, I'm situated in everybody's heart. From me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. These are aspects of His mercy. Forgetfulness is mercy, or a block. It can be both ways. Knowledge, sometimes knowledge is, has two sides of its mercy. It's good to know. Sometimes it's better not to know, because it's not being given to you. And so this remembrance, and then remembrance. Now this is a crucial bit. We have to remember who we are somehow. And that comes via Shastra, via the spiritual master, via the super soul, Chaitya Guru. So, but then he says after that I am the source of the Vedas, I am the Vedas, I am the knower of the Vedas. Vedas means knowledge. Veda is also Veda Mata, the mother. It's the knowledge that actually cares about us. It's an expansion of love. It's to talking about relationship. So from the Vedas, we have something that doesn't change, not like us. It's so, and it comes from the Lord Himself. And so Prabhupada, he made the comment that, and it's in this lecture here, where he talks about the sorry, I'll see if I can find it. The species, sorry, what was the theory? Darwin, and his theory of the species, how they change their form. And he says, actually, we have to be very careful of these so-called theories, because they come from a person that's not been verified. And so, but there are certain sciences that can be verified, which they do when they analyze these chemical compositions. So if they do something, there's the same process and it repeats itself time and time again. But theory means it's a supposition. It looks right to our imperfect senses and our imperfect knowledge. But Prabhupada makes the remark, so they're going, their science is based on the theory of uncertainty. So and it's actually taken as truth, this Darwin's theory. So it's the theory of uncertainty, what this so-called truth is based on. But ours is the theory of certainty, because it doesn't change. It's not superseded by another theory and another theory and another theory. It's always there. It's always constant, because it comes from Krishna Himself. And so our foundation is based on Shastra, non-different from Krishna. And this is our blessing. So we're finding out about ourselves, our origins, what is our nature. They say Brahman is the living entity, the eternal living entity, but his nature is it Adhyatma, is it in chapter 8? Yeah, Adhyatma. That's nature. That means eternal servant. We're eternal servant. So we need this information to know who we are, that what is our real nature. Because if we don't follow this particular line, and if we follow the path of the material world, where we're subject to the control of our senses and that which we see, that which we touch, that which we feel, and that is the only truth, it then forgets the origin aspect of, all right, so all these things we see, where we come from. It comes from a big bang. It's a coincidence. But Prabhupada always explains, there's a car, it's made by an intelligence. You can see it has a function. There must be some intelligence behind the manufacture of a car. Likewise, this cosmic manifestation that we have, both in the spiritual and the material existences, they have an origin. They have an originator. He's the first. He's Krishna. And then all these expansions come from him. And they all have a purpose. They're all based on this nature, real nature, servants. They're all servants of Krishna. And what is really nice, and if you see it, how he's sharing service. He's given everybody a job to do. You know, it's consider this world where everything is given to you instantly without any extraneous effort on your part. Consider what your existence will be like. Can you imagine? It would be like non-existence, actually. Because we're in the material world, material existence, and we have a body that very soon we probably kill this body just by sheer desire of achieving everything we wanted. But no, this material world is built in such a way that it says it's not a good idea. You can't have everything you want because there's danger. It's a place of dukkalium. So Krishna's made this place, this, Mahatattva is the cloud in the spiritual sky. And it's a prison house. Like every country or city will have a prison. And it's for the errant jivas. The jivas, or the spirit souls, that somehow or other they turn away from the Lord. I don't really want to go into origin of jiva, but for some reason that's there and it has a purpose. And so we're in this material cosmic manifestation for a specific reason, that somehow we wanted to be Purushas, the enjoyers, and to see what happens when we come away from our service nature, instead of this idea that we're the boss of our existence, we're the boss of our destiny. Because it shows itself what happens when we're the boss of our destiny. This material existence is the product of the boss of his own destiny. I mean, the consequences is a product. And we had a nice question the other evening when it says accident. Everything, what is accident? And I looked this up after I had to know more. Why Prabhupada says accident. How there can be an accident on the Royal Road even. How we can leave this world by accident if we pass it away at a certain time. We're not necessarily a pure devotee, but we don't come back again. Very interesting. And Prabhupada explains accident. And this was a conversation between himself, Bhavananda, and one other, who I can't remember the name of. And it was with regard, might have been Shamsundar. And they were saying, Prabhupada was saying about what happens when we go against the laws of nature, that accidents can happen. And so we violate the laws of nature. But then Bhavananda said, accident? Accident? What do you mean? Is it an accident? And Prabhupada said, oh, what do you mean? The higher nature, where it comes from. He says, yes, like destiny. What will happen? And who knows? Who already knows this destiny? He's got knowledge. The Supreme Lord has knowledge. What does he say? It's again in the Bhagavad Gita, it's explained that he knows everything. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains that as past, present, future. So, we have a line here, which is like jivas. They have accidents caused by their own desire, where they violate or they go against the laws of nature. And likewise, involving other jivatmas who are not violating the laws of nature. So, when we're implicated in a so-called accident that's somebody else's fault, there's what we call accident. Accident for us, accident for them. One is out of foolishness, and one is so-called innocent. But are we innocent? There lies the question. No, we're actually bound by this law of nature called karma. So we can exist in this place where accidents occur. In other words, we didn't intend it to happen. That's our understanding. But there's the higher nature, the controlling nature, which says it does happen, but I know. This is the inconceivable part that we should accept. We can go into this. So Prabhupada describes as accident. We don't know why we may go away in the period of light to a spiritual existence. But he does. So it's a mystery. It's an accident for us. So there's two situations. But if we say in our wisdom, oh, Krishna's in control of everything, so I can do as I like. This is very dangerous. No. He's given us this other understanding that somehow or other, with our desires, we can choose Maya or we can choose the spiritual life, that of Yoga Maya, or the spiritual potency of the Lord, the internal potency of the Lord, devotional service. One serves the senses, one serves the Lord. Now, if we, in our misconception, either in material or spiritual, think, oh, it's okay, Krishna's in control, that we potter along at our own state of mind and we don't progress. In other words, that somehow or other that we say, I'm like this anyway, this is who I really am, then actually this is almost offensive. Because the point is of devotional service that somehow we should progress. We should take this thing. Not say, oh, Krishna's responsible. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he's not responsible for pious or impious acts. And Prabhupada explained this very nicely with the materialist and the spiritualist. he explained that the materialist, he's successful. Yes, I have achieved this. But when something goes wrong, he says, "Oh God, why have you done this to me?" He accepts the spiritual nature. But the spiritualist, he says, when something is or comes to him, some opulence, he says, by the grace of the Lord, somehow this opulence is coming to me, and it's meant for the Lord's service. He's giving me this for some reason, so I must use this now in His service. But if something goes wrong, the spiritualist says, this is because of my sinful nature. He accepts the thought or the consideration that actually I have some fault here. That because of my desire, my sinful desire is still there, that maybe that that I violated or I've offended in some way. So due to my past life, I'm getting some reaction. So I must accept this. By the grace of the Lord, this is His other side to His mercy. He's telling me what I need to do or accept this. So, very interesting aspect to this divine nature, that He's in control of us, and yet while we're in jiva state, in other words, we have this desire or this choice of desiring for spiritual or material, that's the jiva state, we're marginal, then we're subject to this dukkalium. We're sort of borderline. But if we surrender, that means independence goes. This step of taking initiation to the spiritual master is such a step. I can understand now, to some degree, looking back, why it took so long for me to be allowed or permitted to be initiated by my spiritual master. And it was because of this nature within me. I wasn't ready. Somehow or other, I'm still, and I still am, on this jiva shakti. But I'm trying to come away from that. In other words, I have to accept an authority that says, you can't do that. I want you to do this, and you have to do it. I had to get to that point where accepting the spiritual authority. And that's really difficult, especially for this person who's speaking. So there's a line. So our independence, theoretically, when we take initiation, is the end of our sort of independence. We become dependent then. We become dependent on instruction, dependent on guidance, dependence on the Lord in whatever He gives and whatever He provides by His divine providence. I think that's about all I can think of to say, and it's running a bit late, so sorry. Is there any questions, comments? It's a very profound and deep thing, isn't it?